so in just a few minutes from now, Venezuela's former dictator Nicolas Maduro and his wife are due in federal court. You'll recall U.S. forces arrested them in Caracas back in January. And prosecutors say that couple conspired to move tons of cocaine into the United States. And they have charged him with 4 felonies, including narco-terrorism conspiracy. They charged her with 3 of those. Both have pleaded not guilty. National correspondent Bryan Llenas is on the job in Manhattan Federal Court, just outside the courthouse. Bryan.
Harris, the hearing is set to start at noon, and we expect the discussions to really be centered around future motions, evidence discovery, and the judge could set a trial date. Both sides have proposed a June 2027 start. Now, earlier this morning, under heavy security, Maduro and Flores were believed to be moved in this motorcade from the MDC federal prison in Brooklyn to the federal courthouse here in Manhattan. Prosecutors allege that for 25 years, Maduro ran Venezuela like a drug trafficking organization, transporting thousands of tons of cocaine as leader of the Cartel de los Soles. If convicted, they both face up to life in prison. Maduro's lawyers indicate they plan on filing motions to get this case thrown out before the trial begins. First, by claiming Maduro can't be charged because he has immunity as a head of state. Secondly, by arguing the U.S. military raid that brought Maduro to the U.S. was illegal. On January 3rd, President Trump ordered U.S. Special Forces to capture Maduro and his wife, the former First Lady Celia Flores, in the presidential palace in Caracas. Maduro has called himself a kidnapped president and a prisoner of war. The Trump administration says that the U.S. did not recognize Maduro as a legitimate president, and the raid was a law enforcement action. In a memo, the DOJ argues this, quote, "The operation is lawful as it does not rise to the level of a war in the constitutional sense. Even if someone were later to argue that the operation violated international law, such an argument does not vitiate or nullify the president's authority to order it under long-standing precedent." In a major reversal, Harris, the Treasury Department is now allowing the new Venezuelan government to pay for Maduro's legal fees. His lawyers had argued that this whole case should be dismissed because by not allowing that, it would violate his 6th Amendment constitutional right. The Treasury Department's decision allows the government to pay for it, but there are strings attached deciding on where the money is coming from. There are at least some guardrails there. Harris.
All right, Bryan, great. Thank you very much. You set us up. In focus with me now, Jim Trusty, former Department of Justice prosecutor. Great to see you today. So I'm looking at the list of defense attorneys. In court today, Nicolas Maduro will have 2. His wife, Celia Flores, will have 1 attorney. And I'm curious, what do they argue on behalf with all those charges?
Well, today there's going to be more ministerial things than substantive arguments. But, you know, what Bryan touched on were some pretrial motions to dismiss. And I got to tell you, none of them are going to win. You know, we've been there with Manuel Noriega when he was extraordinarily renditioned from Panama, as they phrase it. And the problem on the sovereign immunity, I mean, so the first thing is there's precedent that allows a New York court to say, we don't care how you got here. You're here. We're trying the case. On the sovereign immunity, the State Department never recognized him as a legitimate head of foreign state. So starting point, you really look to how the U.S. government's treated him, no immunity there. And then the conduct itself is so far beyond the pale in terms of legitimate exercises of a presidency that he would lose on that, too. So, look, they're going to be fun to read. They're going to be fun to litigate. There'll be lawyers like me reading this stuff and enjoying it. But this case is not getting dismissed pre-trial.
Yeah, and you bring up an excellent point. So today is just kind of housekeeping, if you will, for lack of a better term. But overall, how in the world do you win independence, freedom for Nicolas Maduro? I mean, the guy's got quite the chain behind him that is evil, violent, killing, drugs.
Yeah, I mean, look, the indictment is unbelievable, Harris. You know, you're talking about this wedding of some of the worst organizations in narco-terrorism history. You've got everything from the Sinaloa and El Chapo to FARC that were narco-terrorists. You've got the Venezuelan government operating something called the Cartel of the Sun, which is basically the military in the highest reaches being drug and arms traffickers. The problem is just one thing, which is the government has to pull this stuff together from far-flung places. They've got drug seizures in Paris they want to use, drug seizures in Mexico City. So when when you have an international case, you've got some roadblocks in terms of getting over classified information, which takes a long time to be able to use some of it in court, and to actually rein in witnesses from different countries to establish what you put in that indictment.
Look, we just put it on the screen. Cocaine, importation conspiracy, possession of machine guns and destructive devices, conspiracy to possess machine guns and the like, and also narco-terrorism conspiracy. That's for Maduro only. His wife only is facing 3 of the 4 charges. I say only. What does that bring in terms of prison time?
Well, realistically, I mean, many decades, functional life sentences. I think the only possible resolution for Maduro in this case would be if he kind of went chivalric and they worked out some sort of deal where they went light on the misses and he ate the full extent of the charges. And it's not unheard of. Things like that happen from time to time in drug cases where somebody says, if we'll wire the pleas together, let her off with only 10 years and I'll do the full life. So we'll see if there's any of that. But bottom line is, a high-profile international case against a foreign leader, there's not a lot of room to come up with a plea agreement that anybody can live with.
Chivalry, in a way, I haven't heard it recently like that.
Yeah, well,
that was a great way to use it
either.
Yeah. All right, Jim, always good to see you. Thank you very much for setting us up for that. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.